Chapter 387, The Inheritance of the Feather Saint, Heart Integrated into Sword. This chapter is updated by Novels.pl. Sun Meridian Ripple. Tranquility Pulse Sword Wave. Medium Pulse Breaking Sword Wave. Zhang Yuochen struck out 3 fingers at the same time, gathering 3 strokes of power. His left thumb, index finger and middle finger felt like they were on fire. With a blast, 3 sword waves struck out simultaneously, burning like the scorching sun and smelter. 3 strokes of giant scorching sword breath attacked toward Xueqing. PHHT. Xueqing stood firmly and immediately channeling the technique of Hinyan of Age martial code. The genuine chi in his body was released. He drew a circle in the air with his finger. Silver liquid metal drops immediately appeared in front of him. The liquid metal drops concentrated together, forming 3 silver metal combat swords, which were deadly sharp and resembled the combat sword of genuine martial arms. Only warriors who had a physical quality of metal nature and achieved a higher realm in martial arts could condense a metal weapon with his own genuine chi. At the same time, their warrior could also swallow metal directly and digest it with his stomach, and the metal would integrate into his body. Xueqing had such physical quality. Under the strengthening of Hinyan of Age martial code, he had reached the realm of forming soldiers with chi and fusing soldiers with chi. While Xueqing was turning his fingers, 3 combat swords kept turning as well, emitting fierce and forceful sword breath. It flew towards 3 sword waves. Bam, bam, bam. There were 3 loud bangs. The 3 metal combat swords condensed by Xueqing collided with 3 sword waves. They decomposed immediately and turned into streaks of genuine chi fog, disappearing into the sky. So what if you are the Buddha Emperor's descendant? I also have the inheritance of Feather Saint, and I may not lose to you. Fiery wings. Xueqing lowered his arms and bent his back forward. 2 humps grew near his spine, becoming bigger and bigger. With a swooshing sound, they broke out, turning into 2 flaming wings. After spreading out, the wingspan was at least 9 meters wide. Xueqing flew up and hovered 9 meters above ground. Every piece of his feather was as sharp as the blade of a knife. Under Xueqing's control, the flaming wings flapped quickly, and the feathers turned into flying flame knives. Tens of thousands of flying knives dashed down like a pouring rain. I heard long ago that Xueqing had entered the holy land of Saint Xuegentry, Sacred Valley, to practice and seek for the inheritance of the ancestors. I didn't expect that he actually got the inheritance of the Feather Saint. In the history of Saint Xuegentry, there were 47 saints. Feather Saint was one of the most powerful saints. Xueqing actually got his inheritance. No wonder he looked down upon the saintly beings. Xueqing can really compete with a saintly being if both of them are in the same realm. Xueqing triggered the fiery wings, and he got a burst in momentum. The entire stairway to heaven seemed to be centralized on him. He was like magical flaming phoenix of the legends, flapping its wings in front of the sun, instantly overwhelming all those students who were ready to ascend the stairway. While everyone thought that Zhang Yuochen would definitely lose, he condensed combat swords with blue genuine chi. Tens of thousands of sword shadows flew around him. Knife light and sword shadow clashed together, letting out cracking sounds. 2 forces clashed against each other continually. The distance between Zhang Yuochen and Xueqing was getting closer and closer. Finally, when they were only 5 steps apart, both of them used their unique techniques. Xueqing swooped down. The wings on his back were like 2 giant knives as they slashed toward Zhang Yuochen. Before he could fully swing his wings, a heat wave dashed down first. Zhang Yuochen stayed cool and pulled a piece of hair from his head. He chopped over with it and broke open Xueqing's celestial body shield. With a ripping sound, it chopped off a big chunk of flesh from Xueqing's left flaming wing. Xueqing's wings were activated by his own spiritual blood, which belonged to his body. A piece of muscle was chopped off the wing, and he felt severe pain. He groaned and kept walking backward. His face turned pale. His wing was chopped off, which meant that his array was broken. The genius students down below were all surprised. They couldn't believe what just happened. How is it possible that Zhang Yuochen only used 1 piece of hair to break Xueqing's fiery wings? Fiery wings are as hard as gold and iron. They have the protection of Feather Saint's breath and the support of Xuking's power. Even a common genuine martial arms can't hurt them at all. An outstanding talent from East Region Saint Mansions smirked. Why can't it be possible? Although Zhang Yuochen looked like he is just holding a piece of hair, he actually applied the power of sword comprehension, which was in the realm of heart integrated into sword. As long as he reaches that realm, a piece of hair is sharper than a real sword. The power of sword comprehension is like the power of Holy Road, which is terrifying. Heart integrated into sword. The legend says that only half-saint can reach that realm. How can a young student do that? In the mind of warriors who practiced sword in the world, the realm of heart integrated into sword was like the realm of half-saint to others. It was as unreachable as summits and as deep as the oceans. People could only look from afar and marvel. The outstanding talent from the East Region Saint Mansions said, that's not necessarily the case. As long as your talent, comprehension ability, and spiritual power are high enough, even if you don't reach half-saint realm, it is possible to reach heart integrated into sword. It is said that many saints in the Saint Academy are in the fish dragon realm and have reached the heart integrated into sword. There are very few saints from the heaven realm who practiced the heart integrated into sword. I have heard long ago that Zhang Yuochen has reached the heart integrated into sword. Originally, I didn't believe it. However, today is an attest to that. He actually reached the realm. Now even I feel like going a few rounds against him. The talent from East Region Saint Mansions was called Chen Yi. He was tall and handsome. His eyes were full of infinite charm. A slight smile would fascinate the female students around him, turning them into his pets. There were countless masters among the younger generation in the East Region Saint Mansions. They were everywhere in the world. Some were studying in School of the Martial Market. Many others joined the Chi Doctrine, Thousand Buddhas sect, Confucianism and Taoism. Among those who joined the School of the Martial Market, there were 3 out-of-the-world pinnacle masters. Chen Yi was one of them. The other 2 were called Chen Danzu and Chen Jua. Huang Yanjun and Chen Xie could be also considered as men from East Region Saint Mansions. After getting Dragon's Blood, their physical quality had greatly improved. However, compared with those 3 people, they were still somewhat inferior. The power of heart integrated into sword applied by Zhang Yuochen not only startled the young students, but the half-saints in the Holy Temple were also surprised. Demi-Saint Lingxiu, who was only 3 inches tall in her red clothes, suddenly stood up and said, "Impressive. He can reach heart integrated into sword in the heaven realm. I want to take him as my disciple." Demi-Saint Alan laughed loudly and said, "I see that he is naturally related to Buddhism. His dragon and elephant Prajnapam have already been practiced into a certain level. He should be my disciple." It's only the first round of the exam and you both are already fighting for a disciple. It's still unknown that whether Zhang Yuochen can pass the 3 round of the exam. Demi-Saint Sandow said it in a strange manner. Demi-Saint Lingxiu showed cold eyes. She said, "As long as your Saint Xigentry doesn't get in the way, with his talent of practicing the heart integrated into sword, it's a piece of cake for him to pass the 3rd round of the exam." All I'm saying is that he hasn't passed the 1st round of the exam yet. As for the hardest 3rd round of the exam, it is full of uncertainty. In the history of Saint Academy, some warriors who were also saintly being couldn't pass the exam because of bad luck. Demi-Saint Sandow smiled. Demi-Saint Lingxiu thought very highly of Zhang Yuochen. She believed that he would have a very bright future. So she challenged Demi-Saint Sandow and said coldly, "We shall see about that." When Zhang Yuochen was fighting with Red Wish Emissary, he had exposed his realm of heart integrated into sword. So he will not try to hide it again. He got to strike back when the moment was right. Although countered, Xuking's chi did not suffer any major blow. He retracted his fiery wings and immediately recovered. Xuking hummed coldly, "So this is the realm of heart integrated into sword. The only disadvantage I'm having now is the inability to use any weapon in this stairway to heaven. Otherwise, my giant dragon knife will be enough to hold back your sword." Zhang Yuochen used 2 fingers, holding a piece of hair. He said, "Do you wish to continue?" "Why not? No matter how powerful you are, how can 2 fists match with 4 arms?" Xuking passed a message with his eyes, and the talented students of Saint Xigentry all gathered around him. They stood on the 29th stairway, forming a human wall. They stopped Zhang Yuochen and others from ascending the 30th stairway. Even those students who were beaten and fall from the stairway to heaven climbed up again. There were more than 30 of them. Everyone was a top master. Except for Xia King. 2 more persons' cultivation was also in the dawn state of the heaven realm. Their strength was just slightly weaker than Xia King's. They were also heavily favored and exclusively cultivated by Saint Xia gentry. There were also Xia Yuanzai and Xia Su who ranked the 4th and 5th respectively. They were also masters who reached the advanced stage of the heaven realm. They had practiced martial soul and could regulate spiritual chi in heaven and on earth. They had the strength to compete with the warrior in the completion of heaven realm. Having a history of 10,000 years, Saint Xia gentry indeed had many masters. Any talented master would be a dominator if they went to the Omen Ridge. It seems that Saint Xia gentry decides to suppress the students of the Omen Ridge and won't let any of them pass the first round of the exam. Zhang Yuochen is indeed very powerful. It's a pity that Saint Xia gentry has many masters. Is it even possible that he can overcome such overwhelming odds? That's not necessarily the case. The saintly being from the Luo family is on the side of the Omen Ridge. If she cooperates with Zhang Yuochen, it would be almost impossible for Saint Xia gentry to hold them back. When the students were talking, Luo Shuaihan stood up as expected. Golden light shone from her eyes. A stroke of sacred power gushed out of her body and drew the talented students of Saint Xia gentry into the golden light. Under the suppression of the saintly being, only a few of talented students of Saint Xia gentry could stay calm. The rest of them shuddered and sweated. They felt like mountains were crashing down on their bodies. That was the force that only possessed BT the saintly being. It was enough to suppress the defending warriors. Luo Shuaihan said, Xia King, if I strike, can your Saint Xia gentry hold me back? Xia King hesitated. He could tell from the power and aura that was just emitted from Luo Shuaihan that her cultivation had reached the advanced stage of the heaven realm. Although he had the advantage in the realm, his opponent was after all, still a saintly being. After his fiery wings were chopped off, he was not confident that he could deal with Luo Shuaihan. There were only a few saintly beings in the entire eastern region. While he was hesitating, Demi Saint Sandao's voice passed into his ears, we have to kill Zhang Yuochen at any cost. I have already alarmed the other 3 inheritors of powerful saint families. They will help you.